This is a read-through of the Canute Console Manual by Bristol Braille Technology. This version of the manual was last updated on the 5th of September. Notes on translations for people reading the non-English version. These are generated using DeepL Pro, and if you find translation errors, please let us know about them. If you have any questions about the manual or about your Canute console, you can contact us through enquiries@bristolbraille.org. What is the Canute console? The Canute console is a Linux workstation which includes a Canute 360 Braille display. The Canute Console Premium is a bundle that includes custom support or development, a lockable flight case, and a longer warranty. The big difference between the Canute console and other products is that the Braille and the visual displays show exactly the same amount of information in the same layout, disadvantaging neither the Braille nor print user. It has an intuitive interface of menus for reading BRF books and launching applications. It can also be operated from the command line, and in that mode, it is primarily intended for computer science and system administration. There are few limits on what uses it can be put to once you become used to working with multiple lines of Braille. Inserting and removing the Canute 360 Braille display into the console. If you bought your console as a single device, you do not need to do this to begin using the console. If you bought your console without a Braille display, the quote upgrade kit, then lay both products on a flat surface where you intend to use them. Open the lid, the monitor, on the console upgrade kit, lift the Canute 360 and put it gently on the flat surface in the middle of the console upgrade kit, being careful to line the edges up. At the back right, there is a protrusion from the upgrade kit. This is the male power connector and needs to line up with the female power connector on the Canute 360. Once that lines up, move the Canute 360 backwards to insert the power connectors. You may need to lift the Canute 360 slightly to make this connection. Now, on the back left-hand side of the upgrade kit, you will feel a USB-B male connector. These are commonly called quote printer connectors, on a very short cable of about 2 inches. Pull it out of the hole it is resting in and insert it into the Canute 360's female USB-B port on the right. To remove the Canute 360, do the same as above but in reverse. Ergonomics. The Canute console is meant to be used on a stable, flat desk or table with a smooth surface. It needs the smooth surface in order for the tray with the keyboard to be taken in and out. Now lift the monitor, which also acts as a lid, and pull out the keyboard. Because the Canute console has a lot of Braille which you need to be able to reach over a keyboard to read, ergonomics are especially important. Therefore, make sure your seat is as high as possible compared to the desk or table. Also, make sure the console is comfortably towards the edge of the desk or table. You should be able to comfortably rest your hands on both the top line of the Braille display and the last line of the keyboard. Port layout of the Canute console. Please note that when docked in the console, the Canute 360's ports are no longer in use. On the left of the Canute console, from the back to the front, there is one male USB-B connector, which is either inside a small hole in the console upgrade kit when the Canute 360 is disengaged, or is inserted into the Canute 360's female USB-B port. There are 3 female USB-A connectors. On the right of the Canute console, from back to front, there is one female power connector, one female 3.5mm audio jack, one rocker for controlling an external monitor, 2 switches for controlling external monitor, one female HDMI connector, On the back, from middle to right, one removable panel for additional future ports and one power switch. If you have one of the early bird consoles, then your port layout will vary slightly from the above. Plugging everything in. After making sure the USB-B is plugged into the Canute 360 and inserting the power cable, press the power button on the back right hand side to turn on the Braille display. Unplugging. After shutting down the Canute console, see below, wait for the Canute display to shut down, then remove the power cable. Note that if you do not remove the power cable, the monitor will still have power and go into screensaver mode. Therefore, a Canute console not in use should always be unplugged. Keyboard layout. Assuming you are using the British keyboard, otherwise please see below under Changing the Keyboard Layout, the layout of the keyboard is as follows. First line, Escape, F1 through to F10, F11 is function plus F1, F12 is function plus F2, then numlock, print screen, delete, insert is function plus delete. Line 2, 3, 4 and 5 are the default for British QWERTY keyboards. Line 6, Control, Function, Superkey, Alt, Space, Alt, Control, arrows. Home is function plus left, End is function plus right, Page up is function plus up, and Page down is function plus down. Starting in reader mode. With the console correctly set up as above, plug the power cable in and press the power button on the back. The Braille display will approximately take a minute to start, during which time it will run a dot clearing routine. Once this has started, the Canute console will be in reader mode. This operates the same way as the Canute 360 standalone Braille display and does not require the QWERTY keyboard. The H key on the top left of the display launches contextual help to explain how each of the menus works. Briefly, the menu button will open the menu of options, or if you are already in a menu, return you to your current book. The previous and forward buttons are for moving through books and menus. The side buttons correspond to the labeled items for menus. You can read more about this in the Canute 360 user manual, which is also in a directory on your Canute console under Learn. When the display is docked in the console, it will read any BRF files in your home directory in the console's internal storage. It will not read the SD card in your Canute 360, which is only read when the Canute 360 Braille display is used standalone, undocked. Going into console mode. Console mode is where all the interactive applications work. It is essentially booting into a PC. To exit reader mode, either select the option from the system menu or pull out the QWERTY keyboard and press the escape key. You will now have a login screen. If you have upgraded to this version from an older version, it will not change your username or password. For new users, the default user is BBT in lowercase. The default password is Bedminster, all in lowercase. BEDMINSTER. We strongly suggest changing the default password as soon as possible and making a note of it. More on that below under Changing Your Password. In console mode, you will have a launcher menu of options very similar to the menu of books in reader mode. It works much the same way, except the menu button does not operate in this mode. Each line is an application or command, such as File Explorer. When you exit one of these applications, you will be returned to the launcher. If for some reason you are not returned to the launcher, but instead dropped to the command line, you can load it again by typing launcher. Running commands from the launcher. There are a couple of important menu items that we will list and explain below. Shutdown. This will power down the Canute console and Braille display. Once powered off, the Braille dots will all go down. Once this happens, you should take the power cable out of the console. Wi-Fi. This will open a list of available connections with their signal strength. Once you choose the connection, select it, and you'll be prompted to enter the password. Upgrade. This will look for an upgrade to the latest version of the Canute Console OS. This requires an internet connection first. We will send out emails when there is a major upgrade, so please subscribe to the newsletter on the Bristol Braille website. The upgrade may take some time, depending on your connection speed. Once completed, log out, pull out the power cable, plug back in, and press the power button. Command line. This drops down to the command line prompt. We will explore the command line in detail below. However, you do not need to use the command line unless you want to. Running applications from the launcher. The list of applications in the launcher is always growing. Try each one to see how they work. All these applications are under continued development, some are still experimental, and all will improve with future software releases. Let us know what else you would like to see. Here are a couple of useful ones to get started with. File Explorer. This will open a tree view of your file system, which you can navigate with the forward and back thumb buttons, just like in Reader mode or in the Launch menu. If you select a file, that will launch the word processing application, which will give you a menu for viewing and editing rich text document versions, including a unique print layout view of PDF files. Text Editor. This opens a text editor called Micro in a blank document. Micro works very much like Notepad on Windows with similar commands. Ctrl+X, V or C for copying and pasting, Ctrl+Z for undo, Ctrl+Y for redo, Ctrl+F to find, Ctrl+S to save, Ctrl+Q to quit. Running a few commands from the command line. The following features will be added to the launcher menu, but can currently be executed from the command line. To do the following, first select the command line option from the launcher menu. This will open a prompt that is a line into which you can type commands. This line is represented by a $sign. Previous commands will stay on the display and a new prompt will appear at the bottom of the display. The last prompt is the one you will type into. Once you are done, you can return to the menu by typing Launcher at the prompt. Changing Braille codes. This can be done from the launcher, but if you need to do it during programming or for any other reason from the command line, there are some special commands for hot switching the Braille code table that you are using, including Alt, Shift and Q for grade 1 UEB, Alt, Shift and W for grade 2 UEB, Alt, Shift E for 9-line 6-dot US Computer Braille, and Alt, Shift R for contracted German. Please note that only US Computer Braille guarantees one-to-one character representation and therefore exactly the same layout as the visual screen. The commands above will be retired in favor of the launcher menu in the near future. If you know the name of a different BRL TTY Braille table that you want to use, because there are many available, you can enter that yourself directly by typing into the command line Canute-table space and then the table name. Changing your password. Changing your password currently requires going to the command line. To change the default password, type password PASSWD That's PASSWD, and follow the instructions on screen. Escaping. Now we know the basics, the most important commands are closing programs and shutting down safely. To stop a program that is running, there are often commands specific to that program. Often Q or Control Q is used to exit, or the escape key on the top left of the console keyboard. However, pressing Control C often works in extremis if a program is hanging or you don't know how to close it. If you really cannot close a program, to get back to the command line or launcher, you can open a new terminal tab by Shift, Control and T. That is all you need to know to get started with the Canute console. If you are interested in learning more about using the console, particularly in the command line or programming your own application, then we will continue this in a second reading.